This is always one of the most difficult weeks of the year for me. Not because of a heavier schedule, not because of Lent, not because of flu season or allergies, but because this is the week I spend the whole time adjusting to the time change inflicted on us. Not only did we lose an hour of sleep, but it is now still dark when we begin our day, and it seems unfair to have to get up even before the sun does. It seems a cruel irony to call it daylight savings. This is indeed my least favorite week, and I find myself yawning through most of it. I much prefer that other week in the fall when we receive a wonderful bonus of an extra hour of sleep. It was one of the most delightful of our founding fathers, old Ben Franklin of the $100 bill fame, who gave us the well-known proverb, "Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise." Always a practical fellow, he suggested in 1784 that a lot of candle money could be saved by adjusting the clocks in the springtime. It was not until the First World War that the idea was actually implemented. It was the Germans who first adopted it, and on April 30th, 1916, German clocks were turned forward and people lost their hour of sleep. The idea was to cut down the use of artificial lighting in order to save fuel for the war effort. Many other countries, including our own, quickly followed the German lead, but most of them dropped it again after the war. It was brought back during the next World War as a year-round conservation effort, and during World War II, our time zones were renamed Pacific Wartime, Central Wartime, and Eastern Wartime. After Japan surrendered, the time zones were once again rechristened as peacetime. Until 1966, there was utter confusion when some states changed their clocks and others did not, and those that did made the change at different times. In those days, Congress was still able to get something done, and they finally passed the Uniform Time Act in 1966. Now, most of the states observe it, except for Hawaii and most of Arizona. The good thing about daylight savings is that when you yawn during the sermon, you can blame it on the time change. Despite its obvious jolt to our system, the whole reason for daylight savings is to save daylight, or rather to make better use of the light of day. What a precious gift the daylight is! Yet there are those who have never known it and cannot fathom what it is to see. The man born blind did not miss the daylight at all because he had never known it. He did not notice it was dark because he had never experienced light. His world was a world built around the other senses, and he may have been more perceptive to things around him than those blessed with a sense of sight. There are others who live in the daylight but do not notice it either. They are oblivious to everything around them. They see neither the wonders of creation nor the needs of those around them. They are not blind from birth, but they have never bothered to see. On them the daylight is wasted. Still others are very aware of the light of day and fear it. They fear what it might show them, or they fear what it might reveal about themselves to others. They would rather not see. They would rather not know. They live in a world of self-imposed blindness. It was of these that the Belgian surrealist artist René Magritte spoke when he warned, "We must not fear daylight just because it almost always illumines a miserable world." On these people, too, the daylight is wasted. The Christ comes as the original proponent of daylight saving. He gives the light of day to those born blind, reintroduces it to those who have ignored it, sheds a whole new light on the light for those who have always lived in it but have feared it. In the illumined world now so wondrously opened to all of us, we find the same thing we will be experiencing this next week. The day may well begin in unaccustomed darkness, but its end is always bathed in unaccustomed light. Fear neither the darkness nor the light, but in all times, daytime and nighttime, wartime and peacetime, Pacific time and daylight savings time, bathe in the timeless light of God.